Hello, I'm Judah,
And Zion.
and this is the season premiere of season 3 of the Amateur Film Critics.
Yes, it is.
And we are starting right off with our Christmas Unwrapped movies. If you did not watch our Christmas season, you were missing out. First of all, but at the very end, on our Christmas season finale, we did a couple other things. Zion screamed about multiple of the movies from last year, and we exchanged get wrapped up movies that we promised would be films that we would review this season. And
Yes.
mine that I had chosen wrapped up for Zion to unwrap was Murder on the Orient Express. Zion, you want to tell them how you felt when you unwrapped that movie?
First of all, I've never heard of the film. It wasn't one I've heard of, and then by the cover of the DVD box, I knew it was a more dramatic film. Kind of like Inception and Now You See Me, but I didn't know what to expect, but
yeah.
I just had those two in mind.
Those are what you had in
seeing
mind.
that for the first time, and so now actually watching it was okay.
Okay, but we don't want to give too much away of our opinions.
It wasn't as
I'm
bad
saying that okay is a big reveal. Oh,
it wasn't as bad as Now You See Me, but it wasn't. It also wasn't as good as Inception was either. So.
I don't like how you put air quotes around good for talking about Inception.
Because
You know how I feel about that movie, Zion.
Say that I didn't want to say I really liked Inception. I thought it was a good movie, but I didn't want to make it seem like it was one of my favorite films of all time.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So I would say, though, that as far as dramatic goes, this is probably the most dramatic out of those three movies. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, probably.
Okay. I chose this one specifically because I knew it would be very, very dramatic. And Zion and dramatic movies don't always get along. Sometimes they do. The Bad Seed is a great example of that. But
I forgot about that. But
there are multiple times where a dramatic movie and Zion, they just don't work together. So I'll get right into our plot summary. A lavish trip through Europe quickly unfolds into a race against time to solve a murder aboard a train. When an avalanche stops the Orient Express dead in its tracks, the world's greatest detective, Hercule... How do you say his name? Hercule Poirot. I forgot how to say his first name. His last name is Poirot, okay? Arrives to interrogate all passengers in search for clues before the killer can strike again. So that's a very, very loose plot summary. This is actually a very complicated plot.
Basically in the plot, okay, so after the train has been stopped by an avalanche, Johnny Depp's character comes up to our main detective and he asks him to kind of protect him because he feels like something bad is going to happen to him while he's on the train. But our main detective has this power to determine if someone is good or bad, right? Isn't that his power? Isn't that
he is a good judge of character. He's very observant because he's a detective, so he's very observant and he makes usually right deductions. So he can tell, and he's heard things, and he knows that Johnny Depp is not a good guy, which, spoiler alert, he's a bad guy, so the detective was right there. But, and another thing to point out is that Johnny Depp approaches the detective before the avalanche because he's getting threatening notes.
Yeah, I've got about that, but anyway, so the detective does not agree to help him, and then he sees a bunch of things which kind of tie in at the ending, but
They
but
tie
then
in
it
later,
is
yeah.
revealed that Johnny Depp is murdered, and
Bum bum bum.
so basically the rest of the film is him trying to integrate the other characters who
Hmm.
have been already introduced in the movie, but we kind of see a deeper
Yeah, we
introspection
see
of them.
deeper into their personalities and stuff like that as the movie goes on.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so it's a really hard plot to just describe, first of all, because it's
yeah,
this mystery. It's supposed to be complicated. The whole scene where, like, the whole scene that's the night where Johnny Depp's supposed to be murdered, weird things happen so that those can correlate to him solving the mystery later. Um, so
hmm
that's why it's a really hard thing to describe, and the only way you could truly understand the plot, I think, is going and watching it. Um,
yes.
Now, as far as complicated plots go, though, Zion, how do you think this one plays? Do you think it's a good plot for what it is, or do you think it's more it
I
fell
mean,
short?
I don't know. At times, when they're just going through all the characters, I just got bored with it. And it's not
Mm-hmm.
something that there there really nothing's happening except for him interrogating the characters and finding things out. The only like kind of interesting thing that's happening is Josh's Gad character tries to run away, but then they catch him, and so
Mm-hmm.
uh
Yeah.
well, and then towards the ending though, they multiple people try to murder each other, and I don't know. I'm kind of
That
forgetting what happened at the
no, you're right. Yeah. So,
right.
in my opinion, all the interrogations and the questionings I find interesting. I think that's because, in general, I like these mystery sort of things. Um,
Right.
and it's got a very, I think the plot is woven very well. That is, like, it is complicated, but I think it all ties together very well. Maybe sometimes it's slightly too complicated. Because I
Yeah.
definitely found myself having trouble following along at certain points of the movie.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it's really good. And I think if there's any points that feels muddled, it's just because they're taking Agatha Christie's original book, which is, I believe, is really long, and then
Yeah. I
shortening
know.
it to fit into a movie, and it's going to get all smushed together. Then we have the ending, Zion. How did you feel about the ending?
It's just like how I feel about the ending is they have all these nerds in the audience who are really believing that their opinion on who was the actual murderer is is the right murderer, and so I feel like with this ending, they kind of it kind of say, okay, everyone is correct in the audience because everyone is the murderer in the film. You are all correct. All of your opinions were, I don't know, but I just feel like they were trying to make everyone feel good about
Mm-hmm.
themselves and that they kind of guessed the ending,
Okay,
That's
you
how I
knew
feel
I was
about
going to argue with you about this. So let me just get into my rant a little bit. First of all, it's not the writer's fault that everyone was the murderer, because we do have to remember this was an incredibly famous book.
it. Yeah,
Like the Murder on the Orient Express is not one of your lesser known books. This is
right.
like Agatha Christie's one of like most famous title, I believe. But as you look at it, like I think the whole everyone being the murderer plays into the bigger narratives in a way. So one of the big themes you see throughout it, right, is uh, Detective Poirot. He believes that there's right and there's wrong and there's nothing in between. But with all these different people who had been hurt by the horrendous thing that Johnny Depp's character had done, which you really should watch the movie for us to explain that, because that's really complicated, that whole part right there. But
but
they've all been hurt, and so when he sees the tragedy that's ensued in their lives because of this, it's what makes him realize that there was that something in between, and how not everything fits perfectly like the two eggs in the beginning or whatever. So I would say that also I'm gonna go back to the book thing. When Agatha Christie was saying that everyone was the murderer, I'm pretty sure she was saying at that time when it wasn't kind of a trope. I feel like if you do that today in just like a new story, it's kind of tropey. But like
right.
for Agatha Christie to do it, this was back in like I believe the 30s, 20s, or something like that. So she was almost inventing that trope. So yeah, that's my argument. I think the ending, in my opinion, and not gonna lie, Zion, maybe I'm just getting more sensitive to movies, but I did almost cry at the ending.
Why? Why in
Because,
this
okay, listen, when he went through and then he explained why everyone was hurt, and you see, and then they start like, everyone is like so distraught as they start stabbing him. That I don't know why. I didn't cry. I didn't completely. Well, listen, they weren't like they were sad though, Zion. You didn't feel the tragedy and all that. You didn't feel that.
I mean, I mean,
you're so disappointed in me. I can tell.
I have another bad thing to say about the film.
Okay, and we have time to get into it.
It may not be what you expect me to say.
Okay. Yeah, Zion did write an entire topic on our script called Bad Things, and so I'm really excited to see what he has to say there. Because that's a new one. We've never gotten bad things in a script before.
And this season, I am going to say at least one bad thing about every film
that is true
that we watch, because I had this realization that there is no perfect film out there, and so I need to express that by saying at least one bad thing about every film we watch. So,
and that's a beautiful sentiment, Zion. I love that.
So
got me. I think I'm about to cry because of it. No, I'm joking. All right.
What's next?
Characters. There are a lot of them. We're not going to touch on all of them.
No.
What are your standout characters?
I mean, it kind of all read the same, but mainly the standout characters were the celebrities that I knew who played them.
Yeah.
And so that was
how you felt. Were there any like specific observations or whatever? Or like were there any details about the characters that you liked or disliked?
I mean, they all acted the same way. They were very serious characters, but some characters were a little bit more flirtatious than other characters were.
That's what stuck out to you, was how flirtatious they were. Okay, I'll get into the characters because I do not think they all acted the same way. Yeah, they were serious, but
I put this topic on there so that you could deep dive into them.
Yeah. I already talked about this, but starting with Detective Poirot, I totally forgot about this when I went back to watch it because I'd seen this multiple years ago. But I really liked his character arc of like, there in the beginning he wants 2 perfect eggs, but by the end he's realized that not everything is going to be perfect like that. And while I'm not saying he's completely like not OCD anymore, which he totally is OCD, I like his realization that sometimes he just needed to let things be and allow for the imperfect to better themselves and all that. I really like that character arc. As far as the other characters, though, we have there are less character arcs and more of just like revealing things about their characters, if that makes sense, because of the way the mystery works. Like we said, the big thing is that every character was hurt by this one event where Johnny Depp killed a person. And so it's this whole complicated thing. Ones I really liked was Salma Hayek. She was the like really Christian person. I thought her performance was very good. The woman who masterminded it all, I wish I knew the actress's name or the character's name, but she has blonde hair. Then she realizes she's wearing a wig, and she's super flirtatious with Detective Poirot. Thought she was really good. Was there anyone else that was like super super good? Oh,
I mean,
I liked the train conductor, the one who didn't kill someone, like one of the few characters that didn't kill a person in this movie. Who he sort of worked as the detective's sidekick. He had a very good personality. I would say, Zion, that I can see him being one of your more likable characters because he is more lively and kind of cracks jokes and stuff like that. It's interesting. The whole character system in this is interesting. They're good characters, but none of them develop. If anything, they regress like as the time goes on, because you find out more bad things about them and how they're not really changing. But then it ends it by giving each one of these characters hope for the future, which is really nice. So that's my touch on characters. Next, we have the murder mystery genre. Zion, I want you to give, just on the genre as a whole, how do you feel about it? Where does this rank in the few murder mystery movies that you've seen? I don't know how many you've seen, honestly.
Are we counting The Bad Seed as a murder mystery? I mean, not really a mystery, but
I mean, it's pretty close. When I think of murder mystery, I think of like what Agatha Christie started, where you have this group of characters, someone dies, and there's the detective figures everything out. But like, if you want to place some oddballs in, how do you feel about this genre in general, from my definition of it? And then, like, if you were to widen it a bit, how would you place this movie in it?
Now, murder mysteries can be good films, like we saw with. You might be surprised that I'm going to name drop this, but the movie Knives. Knives Out.
Okay. Hold up. When did you watch this? Because I wanted to watch this movie with you so many times, and we never watched it.
Me and my parents watched it. My dad had watched it before, but me and my mom had not watched it. So we watched it.
All right. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. I gotta know how you felt about this.
Murder mystery films can be good, as we saw with that one. And they can be interesting. Like, with that film, you're given this, the entire thing, you're just not doing one thing for the entire film, as we saw in that one. We're also adding other elements into the picture. Yeah, so murder mysteries can be good. This film, however, I didn't think really showed it that much. Yeah. I mean, it was an okay film. It wasn't the worst film I've seen, but it didn't really give me anything that would make this be a standout film when comparing it to other movies in the genre.
But yeah, it does get to this point where it's just a big chunk of it. Once Johnny Depp dies, all he's doing is interrogating and discovering more information. And that can get boring, especially, I can see how it gets boring for you because, like I said, you don't like dramatic movies.
Not much, but yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on what you call dramatic movies. If we're talking about movies from the era of the films that, if we're talking about movies from the Twilight Zone era of of
Mm-hmm.
films, then I like those films. If we're talking about modern, like dramatic films, then not really that much, you know.
Yeah, as far as the murder mystery genre, obviously I'm a nerd for it, Zion. I really like it, and you know that. Oh, I've been, I look,
No.
I had look. Listen, there's the entire Clue Pop collection right behind me, right
Yeah,
here.
I know, I
Like,
know.
I mean, and that's just a board game based on murder mystery. Like, that's not
Yeah,
even doesn't even get into like how much I like these books. I love Knives Out, and I'm so happy that you watched it, Zion. But yeah,
yeah.
as far as this one goes, I think this is top notch
Top
for
notch.
murder mystery in the murder mystery movie. Is
Okay.
I think yeah, it's kind of different. It's very serious and it can get slow and complicated, but I think it's top notch as far as murder mystery movies go. Now
Yeah.
it's your time
Now
to
we have
shine,
top
Zion.
the
This
bad things. Okay.
the bad
The
things.
other really bad, the other really thing that I didn't like about this film is, um, I was not a big fan of. They get a lot of big name celebrities to play a part of this.
Mm,
So what I did not like about that is the celebrities they get really don't they really don't show much of their own personal acting style to this role. Like it could probably replace many. They could
yeah, I get
probably
what you're saying.
replace these big names. See, say hello labs, and it almost be the exact same movie that you're watching.
Yeah.
You know, uh, and if we're comparing this to, I'm gonna name drop another movie where they get a bunch of big names,
Mm-hmm.
celebrities, which is the Rock's Manji film. And you know, they
Yes.
get actors such as The Rock, Kevin Hart. Oh, I forgot his name.
Jack Black and Karen Gillian.
Yeah, people like that was a movie where where hey, you got to see the the actors gave their own personal touch of their style
Mm-hmm.
of comedy to that film, what kind of made the characters more
Yeah.
stand out more. Whereas this film, you know, you got like who was
No, I
the
get what you're
actor?
saying.
I mean, yeah,
Like Josh Gad is
yeah,
very different from any of his other roles in this one. Um,
yeah. He doesn't
and
act like himself. And you're not.
yeah,
He could almost replace him with someone else, and it be the exact same character. So
yeah.
that's what I wasn't a huge fan of. But anyways, let's get on to favorite character.
What's your sign? I think mine's the detective, but
Yeah, I'm just gonna say the detective because I don't remember a lot of the characters, but
you don't really you did not care much about any of these characters.
they
I
are
think, and I
they
understand
aren't
that. I
really
totally understand that.
memorable, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not super. Especially all the murderers, they can really start to blend
Uh-huh.
together. There's so many of them that it gets hard. It, and then we have best scene. Or
The scene that stands out to me is either the scene that I like is when Judge Cat's character is trying to escape the train. I thought
mhm.
that was a memorable scene in my opinion. But what's your
Yeah,
favorite scene?
Okay, I really liked, and this is kind of, again, I know this is a bit of a cop-out answer with these, but the ending when he is telling how the murder happened. I know, but like, this is what, when you think about it, this is what the entire movie is building up towards, is this reveal. So, and again, my favorite character, Detective Poirot, had a really an emotional, like, monologue, and it was really good. And you get to see all the characters together, which is very unusual. There are a lot of characters, and they don't all gather together much in this film.
Anyways, now let's get on to our rankings of the film. I would give this film a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay, that's not bad. I thought you would. I was afraid you'd go worse, but I think that's respectable. For me, this is a 4.5.
Okay.
I know you disagree heavily with that, but we've had movies where we've had bigger rating differences. But for me, this is 4.5. Again,
these two ratings will probably be switched in the next film that we are reviewing.
Y'all already know what the next film is, but we're not going to say it.
To wrap this up, I'm going to showcase my shirt here. I wore it specifically for this. It's our logo.
Yes.
It's
our logo, y'all.
The opposite, but it's our logo. We are not you can't purchase.
You can't buy these. Yeah, we do not have
to show this off.
My mom made him that. My mom has a cricket. Fun fact. So my mom made him that as a part of Christmas. I'm supposed to get one too, but she was a little behind, so I honestly don't know when I'm getting an amateur film critic shirt. But we also both have cups. At one point, we'll have to show them off. Mine's not in here right now, and I don't think you have yours either.
Mine is also not in here right now. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Watch our next. Stay tuned for more awesome reviews. And I think episode 1 of my new series probably has come up by the time that this is releasing.
We're hoping. Fingers crossed. We're not sure when this is releasing. We just know this is the first episode in the season, y'all.
Anyways, goodbye, y'all.
Yes, goodbye, y'all. Go watch Rudolph's Shiny New Year because it's our most viewed video. Goodbye.